Chosen one. Listen carefully. This moment is not random. Heaven pressed pause on your scrolling because something inside you has been stirring, asking why. Why has everything you've done, every pursuit, every late-night plan, every dream of success, still left you empty? It is because this was never about money. It was always about your calling. You have tried to make things work by strength, strategy, and survival. But what you carry is not a business plan, it is a divine assignment. God hid purpose inside your frustration, and He's calling it out right now. Every closed door, every deal that didn't work, every almost breakthrough was heaven saying, "That's not your treasure." Emzere, chosen one. Do you hear it? This interruption is sacred. The world told you to chase profit, but heaven is after your posture. The world says, build your brand, but the kingdom says, bow before me. You were never meant to sell your soul to buy temporary peace. You were meant to serve your purpose, to release eternal impact. As the voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 3, you shall have no other gods before me. That includes the god of money, the idol of status, the altar of validation. God has been stripping away distractions because He refuses to let anything stand between you and your destiny. You are not in a financial crisis, you are in a spiritual awakening. Every time you cried out wondering, why do I keep losing? Heaven was answering, because you're not meant to gain what they gain. You are not designed to be normal. You carry a royal blueprint, coded for divine influence, not worldly applause. When others run after riches, you are called to run after righteousness, and everything else will follow. You've been thinking you failed because you didn't see results. But beloved, you've been in training. The quiet seasons, the hidden years, the moments when you were misunderstood, they were all preparation. The pain you felt was proof that purpose was pressing to be born. Listen closely. God is realigning your vision. He's tearing down false metrics. Success for you will never be measured in dollars. It will be measured in destiny fulfilled. Souls awakened, hearts healed. Heaven is shifting your focus from getting to becoming. There's a reason you've never been comfortable chasing what everyone else chases. You were designed for something eternal. You were not meant to serve the system, you were meant to reform it. The light in you cannot be bought, and it cannot be silenced. You've walked through nights of lack, but you never lost your light. You've survived betrayal, yet your heart still beats with mercy. You've been overlooked, but not forgotten. That is the signature of the chosen. So, hear this prophetic truth. God is not withholding from you, He is protecting you. The very thing you thought was a setback was actually a safeguard. He has been preserving you for purity of purpose. When others compromised for comfort, you stayed faithful through fire. That faithfulness has been noted in heaven's record. And now, the whisper comes, rise. Remember who you are. This isn't about quitting your job or abandoning responsibility. It's about redefining your motives. Work. Yes, but let your work serve your worship, not replace it. Build. Yes, but build what carries His breath, not what feeds your ego. When you realign your heart, divine provision will follow naturally, not forcefully. Money will flow when mission is clear. But you must understand, the flow is for the call, not for the comfort. When you use what he gives to serve his will, you step into a supernatural economy where resources multiply without greed. Chosen one. The kingdom has never been short on gold. It's only waited for pure vessels who can carry glory without corruption. You are becoming that vessel. If this word resonates with your spirit, don't just nod, respond. Take a deep breath. Lift your head and declare, I am chosen for purpose, not profit. Then, as an act of alignment, like this message, share it so that others may awaken too, and subscribe so you never miss another prophetic reminder of who you truly are. And when you do, comment this number below, 777, a symbol of divine completion and spiritual perfection, declaring that from this day forward, your pursuit will no longer be about wealth, but about the will of heaven. Your journey begins here. You feel it, don't you? That subtle shift deep inside, where your soul begins to understand what your mind once resisted. You start to realize that the currency of heaven was never money, it was obedience. Every act of surrender, every yes whispered through tears, every decision to stay faithful when no one was watching, has been wealth in the eyes of God. Chosen one. You have misunderstood your own prosperity. You thought your treasure was what you could touch or count. But heaven has always counted differently. In the kingdom, wealth is not stored in banks, but in obedience. Every time you followed divine instruction, even when it cost you comfort, heaven recorded it as abundance. The world measures success by accumulation, but God measures it by alignment. What pleases him is not your portfolio, but your posture, your heart bowed before his will. When you obeyed him in secret, you were depositing faith into eternity's account. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 2. And all these blessings shall come upon you and overtake you, if you obey the voice of the Lord, your God. You are being refined into someone who no longer needs to understand everything before acting. You are learning that trust is obedience without explanation. When God says move, you move. When he says release, you release. That is how kings and queens are trained in heaven's academy, not through comfort, but through commands. Beloved, this is where many stumble. They confuse hearing God with agreeing with God. But true obedience doesn't wait for comfort. It responds to conviction. The moment your spirit says, yes, Lord, even when your circumstances scream, no, that's when heaven leans close. Do you remember that season when he asked you to let go of something that looked promising? You wrestled with it, fearing you would miss your opportunity. But what you didn't see was that obedience was opening a higher door. The path of obedience often looks like loss before it reveals itself as life. When Abraham was asked to leave everything familiar, he obeyed without knowing where he was going. When Noah built an ark before rain existed, he obeyed before evidence appeared. And when Jesus walked toward the cross, he obeyed even when it looked like the end. Obedience has always been the narrow gate to divine glory. You have been walking this narrow path too. Every time you chose integrity over income, truth over popularity, prayer over panic, you were storing up unseen riches. The angels saw it. Heaven celebrated it. You may not have received applause on earth, but the records in eternity glow with your obedience. Chosen one. Understand this. Obedience is not about control, it's about trust. God is not trying to limit you, He's trying to lift you. He asks for obedience because He sees the outcome you cannot yet imagine. He's not testing to break you, but to build you into someone trustworthy with greater authority. Many cry out for miracles, but miracles are often hidden behind instructions. The widow in the scriptures didn't see overflow until she obeyed the prophet's command to pour her last drop of oil. The lepers weren't healed until they obeyed Jesus' word to go. Miracles respond not to emotion, but to obedience. There's a rhythm in heaven: instruction, obedience, manifestation. That rhythm has been moving through your life too. Every time you said yes in faith, something shifted in the unseen. Every time you obeyed without understanding, the spiritual atmosphere bent in your favor. But obedience will always feel costly to the flesh. It demands trust when logic fails. It asks you to walk when the path is invisible. And yet, every costly yes will one day be crowned with visible glory. For obedience never leaves you empty-handed, it leaves you aligned. You've been learning that sometimes obedience looks like silence when you want to defend yourself. Sometimes it looks like walking away when pride begs you to stay. Sometimes it looks like giving when you barely have enough. And though the world calls that foolish, heaven calls it faith. The chosen ones are not known by their status, but by their submission. You are among them. You are learning to value divine approval above human applause. You are learning to find joy not in what you possess, but in the peace that obedience brings. You may not see immediate results, but don't mistake silence for absence. God is watching, measuring, preparing. Every act of obedience builds momentum in realms unseen. One day soon, what was sown in hidden obedience will erupt into visible favor. So keep walking in that quiet. Yes, keep doing what He said, even when it seems small. The reward is not just in what you'll receive, but in who you're becoming a vessel heaven can trust. You remember the moments when life began stripping things away: status, friends, comfort, certainty. It felt cruel, almost personal, like heaven was silent while everything you built collapsed. But now, chosen one, you are beginning to see this wasn't destruction, it was divine surgery. The season of stripping was not punishment, it was purification. You were being separated from what could not walk with you into destiny. God removed what would have corrupted your calling. Every subtraction in your life carried a sacred message: I'm making room for what truly matters. And it is human nature to cling to what feels familiar, even when it no longer fits. But purpose requires space. You prayed for elevation, and God answered by removing the weights. You cried for clarity, and He answered by dismantling distractions. The process hurt, but it was holy. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, chapter 3, verse 17, though the fig tree does not blossom, and there be no fruit on the vines, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will joy in the God of my salvation. And that verse isn't about pretending you're fine. It's about recognizing that even when nothing seems to be working, God is still worthy. You were not stripped because you were forgotten. You were stripped because you were favored. He saw potential inside you that comfort would have smothered. Chosen one. The breaking came before the blessing. Every loss was carefully measured, every silence purposeful. When you felt abandoned, heaven was actually watching with intensity. ensuring that not one tear was wasted. You were being emptied to be entrusted. The pruning was proof that you were fruitful. God doesn't prune dead branches, He prunes growing ones. The pain you felt was not rejection, it was redirection. You asked for more of Him, and He answered by taking away what wasn't Him. In that season, you learned that peace doesn't come from possessions, it comes from presence. When the noise died down, when people left, when money ran thin, His voice became clear again. You discovered that the loss of things was the recovery of you. Look back and see it now. He took away what you thought you needed so that you could become what you were always meant to be. The world called it a setback, but heaven called it sanctification. Every stripping season reveals what can't be shaken. You lost titles, but not identity. You lost numbers, but not anointing. You lost control, but found calling. And what survived the shaking, that's the real you. That's the version of you that carries glory. Chosen one. This is why the warfare was so intense. The enemy wasn't after your possessions, he was after your purity. Because when a chosen one stays faithful through stripping, their authority multiplies. You emerge, not bitter, but burning, not empty, but empowered. Remember the times you cried, "Why me, Lord?" The answer is simple, because you are chosen to carry something precious. Oil only flows from crushed olives. Gold only shines after the fire. Diamonds only form under pressure. Heaven trusted you with breaking because you could handle birthing. The stripping season is the most misunderstood part of the journey. Many walk away when they lose what they thought they needed. But not you. You stayed. You chose worship over worry. You chose trust over panic. That decision shifted the entire spiritual atmosphere around you. And now, something new is emerging. The weight you once carried is gone, replaced by divine peace. What once broke you is now beneath you. You walk lighter, to see clearer, speak bolder. The version of you that was addicted to control no longer exists. You have been refined. This is what the fire was for, to burn away the temporary so the eternal could remain. You may not have realized it, but you've been walking through sacred flames. Every no from heaven protected your yes to destiny. Every closed door saved you from a counterfeit blessing. The stripping has ended, but the strength it built will never leave. You have been marked by endurance, forged by faith, and sealed by grace. From here on, you will recognize the difference between what looks good and what is God. Now pause for a moment and breathe. Feel that. That's freedom. The weight you lost was never yours to carry. The emptiness you feared has become sacred space for new glory. If this resonates in your spirit, type "I'm still here" in the comments. You're not just declaring survival, you're proclaiming that despite everything stripped away, your faith endured. That phrase isn't for me, it's for heaven to witness that one of its chosen ones still stands, still believes, still says yes. Because, beloved, what remains after the stripping is pure gold, and gold never fears the fire. You remember the nights when your cupboards were empty and your heart was heavy, when you wondered if God had forgotten your name. Those were not seasons of punishment, they were classrooms of revelation. The hidden curriculum of lack was where heaven taught you truths that abundance could never reveal. Chosen one. It was in the silence of scarcity that your spiritual hearing sharpened. You learned to listen for whispers instead of waiting for shouts. When provision seemed to vanish, your faith learned to see without sight. In those lean days, you discovered that true wealth is not what you hold, but who holds you. When everything around you screamed, "Not enough," you learned that God was more than enough. Lack became the lens that revealed His presence in unexpected ways. It stripped away the illusion of self-sufficiency and exposed the beauty of dependence. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 34, verse 10, "The young lions do lack and suffer hunger, but they that seek the Lord shall not want any good thing." In the world, lack is a sign of failure, but in the kingdom, it is often a sign of formation. When Israel wandered in the wilderness, they lacked permanent homes, but never lacked manna. Every morning, heaven dropped provision, just enough for the day, shaping them into people who would depend on daily presence rather than permanent security. You were being shaped in the same way. You prayed for overflow, but God gave you enough to eat, enough to endure, enough to keep faith alive. That enough wasn't stinginess, it was strategy. He was teaching you to walk by faith, not by figures. In the hidden curriculum of lack, your eyes opened to what abundance had blinded. You began to see miracles in moments others ignored, a stranger's kindness, an unexpected bill paid, the peace that came when logic said, "Panic." Each one was God whispering, "See, I am still your source." You learned gratitude not because everything was perfect, but because His presence never left. Gratitude became your secret weapon, shifting your focus from what was missing to who was present. You found joy in simplicity and strength in surrender. Chosen one, heaven was also testing your stewardship. Would you honor Him with little? Would you still worship when the music of comfort stopped playing? Every time you said thank you with empty hands, heaven recorded it as worship of the highest form. You were proving that your devotion wasn't for sale. And though it was quiet, God was moving. Behind the veil of lack, He was orchestrating divine appointments, aligning hearts, rearranging timelines. You couldn't see it, but every "not yet" was a seed of suddenly being planted. You might have envied others during that time, the ones who seemed to have abundance while you wrestled with scarcity. But understand this, not all abundance is blessed, and not all lack is cursed. God sometimes hides prosperity in process. The invisible work He does in seasons of lack becomes the foundation for visible favor later. When you had nothing left but prayer, He showed you that prayer was enough. When you couldn't afford solutions, He taught you to access miracles. When you lacked answers, He gave you revelation. And when you thought you were surviving, He was actually sculpting your soul. The world around you calls that season rock bottom, but heaven calls it root deepening. You were learning to draw sustenance from the Spirit, not from circumstances. The roots you built in adversity will now sustain you in abundance. And now, as you look back, you can finally see the wisdom in what once felt like cruelty. You realize you were never abandoned. You were enrolled. Heaven was educating your heart in a language only lack could teach. The test of that season was never about whether you could handle poverty, it was whether you could handle dependence. You passed, not because you had strength, but because you refused to let go. You learned to say, "Even here, God is good. 1. Chosen one. That revelation is priceless. It's the kind of wealth that can't be stolen, taxed, or lost. When the next challenge comes, you'll remember the lessons lack taught you, that peace isn't purchased, hope isn't hired, and joy doesn't come from income. It comes from intimacy with the one who never fails. So, stand tall. You are no longer afraid of empty pockets or uncertain tomorrows. You've discovered the secret of the kingdom, that lack is never lack when God is present. You walk now with quiet confidence, knowing that the same hand that held you in scarcity will sustain you in plenty. And that, beloved, is the hidden curriculum completed. You didn't just survive it, you graduated with glory. Chosen one. Do you remember those long seasons when you waited for God to come through, when the bills piled higher than your faith, and silence echoed louder than any promise? You kept asking, Lord, when will you provide? But heaven whispered, when purpose awakens, on every divine delay has a reason. What looked like a closed door was often God's way of redirecting your desire. He wasn't punishing you, He was protecting your purpose from premature exposure. You prayed for provision, but He was cultivating purity first. Because provision given before purpose is understood becomes poison. The waiting season is sacred. It's where He trains your vision to see what really matters. When everything slows down, that's when heaven starts aligning things behind the scenes. You thought you were being delayed, but you were being developed. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 29, verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Learn. Think of your waiting like the cocoon of a butterfly. It's dark, it's tight, it's lonely, but inside, wings are forming. If the process is rushed, the wings remain weak. God knew that rushing your blessing would ruin your breakthrough, so He waited until your faith could handle the flight. During that wait, something changed in you. You stopped chasing the blessing and started seeking the blesser. Your prayers shifted from God, give me, to God, guide me. That's when purpose began to awaken. Because purpose always rises where pride dies. And now, as you look back, you see that every not yet had mercy written all over it. You weren't being ignored. You were being incubated. Chosen one. Many lose faith in that in-between space. But not you. You stayed. You wrestled with doubt and still believed. You praised through pain. You trusted through tears. That's why heaven is now shifting the season from delay to delivery. There's a holy rhythm to this journey. Obedience, pruning, waiting, and then release. You're standing on the edge of release. The waiting wasn't wasted, it was worship in disguise. You may still be wondering, when will the breakthrough come? Beloved, it already has within you. The greatest breakthrough is not in your bank account, it's in your becoming. The person who once panicked now prays. The one who used to chase validation now walks in vision. That transformation is the blessing. Now listen closely, because this next part comes from a place of love and shared purpose. Just as you've been poured into, you now have a chance to pour back. When you like, when you share, when you subscribe, you're not helping an algorithm, you're joining a mission. Each small act spreads the message further. placing a word of hope before eyes that might be on the verge of giving up. And if your heart feels moved to sow a seed to donate, don't see it as payment. See it as partnership. Imagine your contribution like oil poured into a lamp. It keeps the flame alive, lighting paths for others who still walk through the dark. Every light shared keeps another soul from stumbling. You are not giving to a person, you're giving through a purpose. Your generosity becomes part of the story God is telling through this message. Because every chosen one that awakens because of your act, that's fruit, credited to your account in eternity's record. Think of it like a river. When water flows freely, it stays alive. When it stops, it stagnates. Your giving, your engagement, is what keeps the river of this message flowing to those who need it most. Together, we create a current that carries light into places where hope once drowned. Chosen one, you are part of something far bigger than a video, a word, or a single voice. You are a builder of altars in the digital wilderness, where souls encounter God through simple screens. So if this word has touched you, if you feel seen, understood, strengthened, let it move you to act, not out of pressure, but out of purpose. When you share, you sow. When you give, you grow. And when you engage, heaven multiplies what you've touched with your obedience. Because your story and this message are intertwined, you're not just a listener, you're a light bearer. Remember, the waiting didn't break you, it built you. And now, as you rise from that long delay, every seed you plant, whether a word of encouragement or a gift of faith, will echo eternity. This was never about money. It was always about mission. You are standing now at the threshold of a new test, the test of stewardship. It's quieter than the storms you've faced, subtler than the warfare you've fought. But make no mistake, it's just as sacred. This test doesn't roar, it whispers. It asks, what will you do with what I've already placed in your hands? In the earlier seasons, you cried out for more opportunities, more favor, more provision. But heaven's eyes were watching, not what you asked for, but what you did with what you already had. Stewardship is the secret gate between small beginnings and divine increase. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 2. Moreover, it is required in stewards that a man be found faithful. Chosen one. You have been in that proving ground. You may not have noticed it, but every small act of consistency has been counted in heaven's ledger. Every time you refused to compromise your integrity, every time you did the right thing when nobody was watching, every time you served when you felt unseen, you were passing the test. God's system is never random. Before he releases great power, he examines quiet faithfulness. Before he entrusts abundance, he measures attitude. The world celebrates charisma, but heaven promotes character. The key to promotion in the kingdom is not performance, it's proven trust. You've been in that secret evaluation, the invisible audition of heaven. God didn't want to see if you could dream big. He wanted to see if you could stay obedient when the dream looked small. Many people fail here not because they're weak, but because they despise the size of their current assignment. But not you. You understood that every giant calling starts with a mustard seed moment. You honored the small beginnings. You didn't rush the process or curse the season of obscurity. You were faithful in the field, while no one was applauding, and that field has become holy ground. The test of stewardship is subtle. It doesn't always come with applause or clear direction. Sometimes it shows up as tedious routine, doing the same thing again and again without seeing results. But that repetition was heaven's way of strengthening your spiritual muscle. What felt like delay was actually development. God wanted to see if you could handle little before releasing much. Because if you can worship with 5 loaves, you'll know how to multiply them when the crowd gathers. The principle is simple but profound. How you handle today determines what heaven can trust you with tomorrow. Beloved, you've been faithful even when weary. That kind of faith moves mountains. Heaven doesn't overlook small sacrifices. You may not have received recognition from people, but every unseen yes has echoed through eternity. The angels have marked your persistence as preparation. Somewhere in the unseen, new assignments are being written with your name on them. You've proven trustworthy in hidden tasks, and now doors will begin to respond to your obedience. The shift is near, not because of luck, but because of stewardship. But remember this truth: with greater blessing comes greater responsibility. Stewardship doesn't end when abundance begins. It deepens. When God expands your territory, He also expands your accountability. The same faithfulness that sustained you in little will now protect you in much. So do not forget the lessons of the small season. Keep your heart humble, your motives pure, your focus on service. God promotes stewards who remember the dust they came from and the grace that lifted them. And when the blessing comes, and it will, don't hold it too tightly, everything you have is a trust, not a trophy. The more you release, the more heaven replenishes. The steward who gives freely becomes the vessel God keeps refilling. Chosen one. This next season will test how you manage answered prayers. Can you stay anchored when abundance flows? Can you remain generous when comfort returns? These are the silent measures of true maturity. You will soon notice small divine nudges, new responsibilities, new people needing guidance, new resources arriving. Don't shrink back. Each one is a doorway to deeper partnership with God. You have already proven you can be trusted now. He will prove that your faithfulness was never in vain. Pause now and reflect. What is in your hand today? Maybe it's a skill, a word, a platform, a relationship, a moment of favor. Whatever it is, hold it with reverence. Stewardship begins not with what you wish you had, but with what you already possess. And now, chosen one. As a prophetic act of agreement, comment this number below: 444. This is the number of divine foundation, symbolizing that heaven is establishing stability beneath your feet. When you type it, you're declaring, I choose faithfulness over fame. I will build, not boast. And let that be your vow as you step into this next phase. You have proven yourself in secret. Heaven is about to make it public. And when the increase arrives, you'll know it was never by chance. It was because the faithful steward in you refused to quit. Chosen one. The world around you has tried to teach you its version of success since the day you could walk. It measured your value by numbers, possessions, and applause. It taught you that to be seen is to be significant, that to win you must compete, and that comfort equals progress. But heaven has been whispering another truth, a quieter, deeper, one that dismantles everything Babylon built around you. You are being freed from the Babylonian mindset, It is not a city of walls, it is a system of thought. It lives in comparison, feeds on pride, and breathes through greed. It teaches people to chase crowns made of smoke. And for a long time, you walked among them, believing that worth came from what you could show. But God loved you too much to let you stay there. He began to unsettle you, to make worldly comfort feel uncomfortable. Opportunities that once looked appealing began to taste bitter. You noticed that success without peace was just noise. That was not a failure. It was your awakening. Heaven was removing you from a system designed to enslave your soul. According to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 16, verse 8, "Better is a little with righteousness than great revenues without right." There came a point where your spirit began to ache under the weight of worldly striving. You felt the fatigue of pretending, the heaviness of maintaining appearances. Every time you tried to blend in, something inside whispered, "This isn't who you are." That inner resistance was the voice of heaven reclaiming its child. When you were overlooked, God was teaching you contentment. When you were uncelebrated, He was detoxing your heart from the addiction to validation. The applause you lost was replaced by anointing you could not earn. Slowly, the grip of Babylon began to loosen. You started to see the deception clearly, the endless chase for more that never satisfies. You saw how people sell their peace to purchase recognition. You realized that chasing numbers, followers, income, influence was just a subtle form of idolatry. It was building altars to self instead of surrendering to spirit. Chosen one, God began to teach you the holy paradox. The more you surrender, the more He multiplies. The less you strive, the more He provides. The less you fight for attention, the more heaven amplifies your voice. True promotion does not come from hustling, it comes from holiness. Heaven has always valued authenticity over achievement. The Babylonian system wants you loud, the kingdom wants you light. Light doesn't shout, it shines. And you, beloved, were never meant to compete with darkness by matching its noise. You were meant to defeat it by simply being radiant. Your worth was never in the numbers written by men, but in the name written by God. He called you chosen before you ever accomplished anything. That's why He keeps pulling you away from systems that confuse worth with wealth. You are being unlearned so you can finally understand. And now, a strange peace has replaced the pressure. You no longer chase, you choose. You no longer hustle for approval. You rest in assignment. You are learning that prosperity without purpose is prison. And that's why God had to lead you out of Babylon, not geographically, but spiritually. Freedom began the moment you stopped negotiating your identity for acceptance. The moment you said, "I would rather be aligned with heaven than admired by men." Something broke. The invisible chains of comparison snapped, and suddenly you could breathe again. This deliverance was subtle. It didn't happen in a day, but in daily decisions. You chose silence over self-promotion, generosity over jealousy, faith over fear. Each choice was a hammer blow against the walls of Babylon within you. Now you can see clearly what you couldn't before. Babylon's empire was built on insecurity. It thrives when people forget who they are. But you remember now, you are a citizen of a higher kingdom, an ambassador of eternity, living temporarily among time-bound souls. You are not supposed to fit in. You are meant to stand out by living differently. The test will continue. Of course, The world will keep flashing its illusions, numbers, titles, admiration, but you'll no longer crave them. Because once the light of revelation touches you, artificial lights lose their charm. Chosen one, keep walking in that freedom. Let Babylon crumble while you build altars. Let others chase recognition while you chase righteousness. Let your success be defined by how much love you leave behind, not how much you collect. For you are no longer a servant of systems, you are a steward of secrets. You walk now in peace that cannot be priced, carrying the quiet confidence of one who has been delivered from deception. You are free, and that freedom is the loudest sermon you will ever preach. Chosen one, now that your eyes have been opened and your heart purified, you are beginning to understand something the world has long forgotten: the definition of true wealth. The real wealth of the chosen cannot be counted, traded, or taxed. It is not printed on paper or stored in banks. It is a spiritual currency that flows from divine favor, not financial gain. You were never meant to chase after silver and gold. You were meant to carry something rarer, grace that multiplies peace wherever you walk, wisdom that turns storms into classrooms, love that cannot be corrupted by fame or fortune. Heaven's economy is measured in faith, not figures, and you are learning to invest where moth and rust cannot touch. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 20, "But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moth and rust do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal." There was a time when you equated blessing with visible abundance. When things went well, you thought, "God is with me." When things fell apart, you wondered, "Have I been forsaken?" But now you see his favor was never measured by what you owned, but by what owned you. When you lost certain things, you didn't lose favor, you gained freedom. You discovered that wealth is not in what you possess, but in what you can surrender without losing peace. You've learned that to be chosen is to be entrusted with invisible riches, faith that doesn't crumble under pressure, hope that refuses to die, and love that keeps forgiving even when broken. The real wealth of the chosen is invisible to the world but undeniable to heaven. It glows in how you carry yourself through hardship. It radiates in your words when others would complain. It's the quiet dignity of someone who knows they belong to a kingdom that cannot collapse. You've seen people rise quickly and fall just as fast. You've watched them chase wealth until their hearts grew weary. Their laughter faded. Their peace evaporated. But not you. God set you apart to redefine what prosperity means. You were meant to show that abundance without alignment is emptiness disguised as success. True wealth is the ability to rest when the world panics. It's to stand in peace while others scramble for control. It's the power to love when there's nothing to gain. Every chosen one walks through this revelation that riches are not measured by possession, but by peace. When the storms hit, your true wealth showed itself. Your faith didn't collapse under fear, it grew roots. When your resources ran low, you still gave kindness. When opportunities closed, you still opened your heart. That's when heaven smiled, because what was being tested wasn't your bank account, but your belief. God's favor manifests not just as blessings that come, but as burdens that don't break you. When others lost themselves in success, you kept your soul intact. That is wealth the world cannot calculate. You carry joy that no circumstance can steal. wisdom that no diploma can grant, and endurance that no training can teach. Chosen one, this is your inheritance, to walk in quiet confidence that your value does not fluctuate with the market of man. You could have nothing in your hands and still carry more power than a millionaire without peace. Because divine wealth doesn't shout, it sustains. It doesn't show off, it shows through. Think of it like this: the ocean does not brag about its depth, yet everything alive depends on it. The sun does not announce its strength, yet the world cannot survive without its light. That's what real wealth looks like. It simply is. Steady and unbothered, flowing from its source. And your source is heaven itself. So when you walk through the world, you no longer need to prove yourself. You don't have to explain why you choose peace over performance, simplicity over show, authenticity over applause. The spiritually poor will not understand it, but the spiritually awake will recognize it immediately because they carry the same light. The real wealth of the chosen is contagious. It inspires others to trade, striving for surrender, greed for gratitude, vanity for vision. Wherever you go, you become a living reminder that God's richest gifts cannot be held, they can only be embodied. Chosen one, keep walking with that quiet abundance. Let your calm confuse the chaotic. Let your peace preach louder than any platform. The world will wonder how you smile in scarcity, how you glow without gain, how you rise without striving. And you will know it is because your treasure is not in your hands, it's in your heart. That is what heaven meant when it whispered long ago. This was never about money, it was about your calling. Chosen one. There were times when you looked around and saw others rising, being promoted, celebrated, called forward, while you sat in silence, hidden, unnoticed. You wondered if you had missed your moment. You thought maybe your voice wasn't strong enough, your gift not bright enough, your calling too strange to be seen. But heaven knew exactly what it was doing. You were not forgotten. You were hidden. When God hides you, it's never rejection, it's protection. You were being covered until the appointed time. The same God who brings light to a city also keeps seeds underground until their roots are strong enough to bear the wind. The voice of God thundered in the book of Isaiah, chapter 14, verse 2. He made me into a polished arrow and concealed me in his quiver. That verse is your story. You were the arrow, sharp, refined, and ready but hidden in the quiver, unseen to the untrained eye. It looked like delay. To heaven, it was design. God never wastes a hiding season. In that time of silence, you learned what visibility could never teach: humility, endurance, discernment, purity of heart. The applause of men can inflate, the silence of God refines. Your hiddenness became the forge of your authenticity. When you were left out of rooms you thought you belonged in, heaven was saying, "You're not ready to be displayed yet," not because you lacked talent, but because the weight of your calling required deeper roots. Some callings can bloom in a season. Yours had to mature over years. Do you see it now? You were never being delayed, you were being developed. Every lonely night was shaping your compassion. Every unseen act of kindness was strengthening your spiritual muscles. Every prayer whispered in private was adding weight to your future authority. Hiddenness is holy. The world despises it, but heaven honors it. Because when the spotlight finally comes, only those who've been purified in private can handle its heat. God was protecting your name from premature fame. You were being seasoned, not silenced. Chosen one. The hidden season also exposed the motives of your heart. When nobody clapped, would you still obey? When no one affirmed you, would you still serve? That was heaven's real test. And you passed it not perfectly, but faithfully. You stayed when it would have been easier to quit. You trusted when you could have turned bitter. You see, prémature exposure destroit fragile gift. The enemy loves to rush what God is refining, because the untested can be easily corrupted. But you refuse to rush your process. You let patience do its work, and that patience has birthed wisdom, the kind that cannot be taught, only lived. Now, as the hiding season begins to lift, you'll notice something different in your reflection. You no longer crave the crowd, you crave his voice. You don't seek recognition, you seek revelation. That is how you know the hiding has fulfilled its purpose. The light that's coming for you isn't man-made, it's divine timing. When God decides it's your moment, He doesn't announce it with trumpets, He orchestrates it with alignment. Suddenly, doors open without effort. Opportunities find you without striving. And your voice carries weight you didn't have before. And when that happens, you will understand why the delay was mercy. You were not waiting for your moment. Your moment was waiting for you to mature enough to sustain it. Chosen one, take heart. The quiver season is ending. The bow is stretching. The release is near. You won't have to push your way forward. Heaven itself will propel you. But when that day comes, remember the lessons of hiddenness. Don't use your light to blind others. Use it to guide them. Don't forget the solitude that shaped your strength. Let humility remain your anchor, and peace your proof, because the same God who hid you will reveal you, and He'll do it in such a way that no human hand can take the credit. Pause for a moment. Breathe in the peace of this truth, and if it echoes in your spirit, comment, "Still becoming," below. That phrase is not a slogan, it's a confession. It means you understand that you are still unfolding, still being shaped, still being prepared. You are not late, you are becoming. Every hidden moment, every quiet prayer, every unseen seed was part of a divine design. And now, as light begins to find you again, you will realize that God didn't just hide you, He was holding you all along. Chosen one, you have walked through loss and lack, through silence and shaping. Now you stand at a new crossroads, the place where your calling demands courage over comfort. This is where the path narrows, where obedience costs more, and where purpose begins to burn hotter than preference. You have already felt the tension of this season. The comfort of the familiar still calls to you, whispering, "Stay safe, stay small, stay silent." But your spirit knows safety was never your assignment. God is calling you higher. Even if it means walking through fire, every chosen one reaches this moment. It's the moment when the comfortable life and the called life part ways. One promises ease, the other promises eternal impact. You cannot walk both roads. As was spoken in the sacred texts of old, in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 9, verse 23, "If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me." Think of a seed. It must leave the comfort of the packet to fulfill its purpose. It must be buried, cracked open, and hidden before it ever rises. Comfort says, stay dry and safe. Calling says, fall into the soil and die to what you were, so you can become what you were meant to be. And that is your current moment. Beloved, the soil feels tight, the waiting feels long, and the darkness feels strange. But growth is happening where you cannot see. The roots of your faith are stretching deeper, and soon you will rise not as the seed you once were, but as the tree heaven designed. In this season, your choices matter more than ever. Small obedience will open great doors. Your yes in private will echo in places you've never stepped into. But this path is not easy, it's costly. And that is why this message exists, to remind you that you are not alone on the narrow road. Every like, every share, every subscription is not about numbers, it's about connection. When you share light, you become part of heaven's distribution system. You're helping someone else find their way out of comfort into calling. When you subscribe, you're saying, keep the flame burning, keep the word flowing. It's how we keep this divine rhythm alive, messages that meet hearts right where they are, words that pull souls back to purpose. And if your heart feels moved to sow a seed, to donate, know this: you are not funding a brand, you are fueling a mission. Think of your giving like water poured on soil. It doesn't just sustain one voice, it nurtures a forest of faith. Every drop keeps this garden growing, allowing these words to reach the weary, the lost, the ones who need to remember that they, too, are chosen. Your support, whether through a like, a share, a word, or a gift, is a partnership with purpose. You're not just hearing the message, you're helping it live, breathe, and travel into homes and hearts that might never otherwise hear heaven's whisper. So as you listen now, imagine yourself as part of a chain of light stretching across the world. Each person who shares becomes another torchbearer. Each seed sown becomes another spark that keeps the flame alive. That's how revival begins, not in cathedrals, but in hearts willing to act. Chosen one. The world is full of voices selling comfort, but you are part of a movement that calls souls back to calling. The more this light spreads, the more the atmosphere of apathy breaks. Every act of engagement keeps heaven's message in circulation, reminding the weary that obedience is still worth it. And remember this: no act of generosity goes unnoticed. Heaven records every gesture of faith. Every moment you give, or share, or pray, it all adds to the tapestry of divine collaboration between you and God's plan. Your calling will always demand more than comfort, but it will also reward you with more than you can imagine. Comfort offers rest for a season, calling offers legacy for generations. So, beloved, keep walking forward even when the road is lonely. Even when obedience feels heavy, you are walking toward a life that cannot be shaken. And as you move, let your actions, your words, your giving, your sharing be the echo of gratitude to the one who never stopped believing in you. Because this has never been about building platforms, it has always been about building people. You are one of them, and now you help awaken others to remember who they are. Chosen one. You are stepping into a revelation that changes everything. The understanding that you were never created to chase money, but to command it for mission. This is the essence of the marketplace mantle. It is not about greed, it is about governance. It is not about luxury, It is about leadership. You are being anointed not to accumulate wealth, but to assign it. For too long, the world has made money a master instead of a messenger. It has bowed to currency as if it were king, forgetting that the true king made gold to serve, not to rule. But now, heaven is raising up a remnant people like you who will take their place as stewards in the marketplace, transforming business into ministry, transactions into testimonies, and influence into impact. As the Apostle Paul wrote in his letter to the Romans, chapter 12, verse 11, "Never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervor, serving the Lord." And God is teaching you to see money differently. It's not a god to fear or an idol to chase. It's a tool to build with. When handled by the faithful, money becomes a soldier that advances the kingdom's cause. It goes where you send it, feeding the hungry, healing the broken, spreading light into dark corners of the earth. You are not meant to feel guilty for success. You are meant to redefine it. The enemy tried to convince you that poverty equaled holiness or that prosperity equaled pride, but neither extreme reflects truth. Holiness is obedience, and prosperity is purpose fulfilled. When your motive is pure, provision becomes power. Chosen one, remember the patterns of your past seasons. You've walked through lack and learned trust. You've been stripped and learned purity. Now heaven says, you can be trusted with more. The marketplace mantle is a transfer of responsibility. It's God saying, now use what I give to change the world. Think of Joseph in Egypt. He wasn't blessed so he could boast. He was blessed so he could preserve nations. His management of resources saved lives. That is what heaven wants to do. Through you, use your hands to distribute hope. And yet, there is a warning in this mantle. If you ever begin to see wealth as your worth, the same anointing that elevated you will stop flowing. God's abundance follows alignment. Stay anchored in the purpose that started it all, to bring light where others bring lust, to create systems of blessing where others build empires of self. You'll begin to notice subtle changes within you. Where others chase opportunity, you'll wait for assignment. Where others see profit, you'll see purpose. Where others see business, you'll see ministry. This is how heaven operates in the marketplace through chosen ones who walk with divine awareness. Don't underestimate what's happening right now. Every idea that's been stirring in your spirit, every dream that seemed too bold, every plan that kept resurfacing despite fear, it's all part of this mantle. God is breathing strategy into you. Divine blueprints wrapped in creativity. He will guide your steps, connect you with the right people, and give you favor in places your resume could never reach. But remember, the marketplace mantle doesn't make you better than others. It makes you responsible for them. Influence in the kingdom is stewardship, not superiority. When you rise, you lift. When you earn, you bless. When you build, you create space for others to flourish. You may have noticed how doors have begun opening that used to remain locked. It's not coincidence, it's calibration. Heaven is positioning you in spaces that once intimidated you because you now carry the spiritual authority to govern there. You don't enter those rooms to prove yourself. You enter to represent heaven. Every invoice you send, every deal you sign, every product you create, see it as worship. Excellence is your evangelism. Integrity is your sermon. Generosity is your altar call. The marketplace mantle is not about preaching from pulpits, but about living truth in transactions. The world is hungry for leaders who can handle both power and purity. That's you. You've been tested in fire so that now, when gold comes, it won't corrupt you. You've learned that wealth is not your master, it's your mission partner. So walk into this next phase with confidence and humility. Carry wisdom like armor and compassion like currency. When people look at your life, may they see a modern Joseph, a radiant light in a system built for greed, someone who proves that divine purpose and material stewardship can coexist in perfect harmony. For this is your calling, to be the bridge between heaven's abundance and earth's need. You are not chasing money, you are commanding resources to serve redemption. That's the true mark of those chosen for the marketplace. Chosen one. Something sacred begins to shift when obedience meets timing. You have walked faithfully through pruning, silence, and surrender. And now, heaven begins to move in response. What once felt delayed begins to accelerate. What once seemed impossible starts to unfold before your eyes. This is the divine exchange at midnight, the mysterious hour when heaven transfers what was withheld into the hands of the faithful. You may not feel it yet, but the atmosphere around you has changed. The stillness is trembling with expectancy. Angels have begun to move on your behalf. The prayers that seemed unanswered were not ignored. They were stored. Every tear you shed, every yes you whispered, every temptation you overcame has been recorded as currency in heaven's economy. And now, at this divine midnight, the transaction begins. The ancient words recorded in Romans, chapter 8, verse 28, still echo today, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. Oh, that verse is not cliché, it's a contract. It's heaven's written promise that nothing you endured was wasted. Every disappointment, delay, and detour was working together, weaving purpose through pain, preparing you for this precise moment of divine exchange. The midnight hour is symbolic. It's the time when one day ends and another begins. Yet the world around looks unchanged. That's how divine transitions often feel silent, invisible, unnoticed by human eyes. But heaven does its deepest work in the dark. While you were waiting, God was working. While you were breaking, he was building something behind the scenes. Think of Joseph again. The dungeon was his midnight. Everything looked lost. Yet in one night, everything turned, from prisoner to ruler, from forgotten to favored. Midnight moments often look like endings, but they are actually beginnings disguised in darkness. Chosen one. You have reached yours. The old chapter has closed. What you thought was a delay was divine synchronization. The timing of God is never random. It's perfect to the second. You will begin to notice subtle signs that something has shifted. Peace where anxiety used to live. Unexpected favor in unlikely places. Doors that were once sealed suddenly cracking open. People you thought you lost, returning with reconciliation or restoration. These are the early tremors of divine exchange, the evidence that obedience has activated overflow. But this exchange is not merely about material blessing. It is spiritual before it is visible. God is transferring wisdom, authority, and discernment into you. He is upgrading your spiritual capacity so that when physical blessings arrive, they will not overwhelm you. You are being trusted with influence because you have proven faithful with obscurity. At this midnight, mercy is meeting memory. God remembers every seed you sowed in tears, every offering you gave when you had little, every time you kept believing though no one understood you. Those moments have spoken louder than your words. And heaven has replied. Now, oh, do not mistake stillness for inactivity. Divine exchanges often happen quietly. The greatest miracles rarely announce themselves, they simply manifest. And when they do, you'll know it wasn't luck, it was alignment. This transfer is also generational. Your obedience has broken cycles. The favor coming to you will outlive you. Others, connected to your name, will eat from trees you planted in faith. What you are stepping into is bigger than personal success. It is legacy. Chosen one. This is why the warfare was so intense before now. The enemy always attacks hardest before the exchange. He wanted you to quit minutes before the manifestation, but you didn't. You stayed. You prayed. You obeyed. And that persistence has become your passport into promise. You will soon testify that everything truly did work together for good. The pain made you wiser. The silence made you stronger. The delay made you deeper. And the midnight made you ready. So now, as you feel the shift, respond with faith. Declare that you receive what heaven is releasing. Because when God transfers, He looks for agreement. Miracles move at the speed of belief. As a prophetic act of that agreement, comment 888 below. This number represents new beginnings and divine renewal, a triple portion of resurrection power. When you type it, you're declaring, "My midnight has come. I receive the divine exchange." Now, and believe this, you are not stepping into something ordinary. You are crossing into a new dimension of grace, provision, and authority. What once drained you will now sustain you. What once broke you will now build others through you. Chosen one. The night is over. The dawn belongs to you. Chosen one. When heaven moves, restoration follows. Not the shallow kind that only replaces what was lost, but the holy kind that multiplies it, the reversal of misfortune. This is the season when God begins to turn what the enemy meant for evil into the raw material for glory. What once broke you will now bless you. What was stolen will not only return, it will return transformed. You have seen loss. You've known the sting of betrayal, the ache of disappointment, the silence after prayers that seemed unanswered. But nothing escapes the record of heaven. Every injustice has been tallied, every wound remembered, every sleepless night heard. God is both Redeemer and Restorer. He doesn't simply make things even, He makes them overflow. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Joel, chapter 2, verse 25, "And I will restore to you the years that the locust hath eaten." Ali. Those words are not poetic comfort, they are divine guarantee. The years represent more than time. They symbolize moments, dreams, opportunities, and strength that life's battles seem to devour. But restoration in the kingdom doesn't work like repair, it works like resurrection. What died begins to breathe again. What seemed wasted becomes woven into purpose. Chosen one. This reversal is not a single event, it is a process. Already underway. You are standing in the quiet first moments of a divine turnaround. Heaven is rearranging things in your favor. rebalancing scales that have long been tilted against you. But look closely. The restoration that's coming may not look exactly like what you lost. God rarely repeats. He redeems. He gives you something higher in quality, deeper in meaning, and more aligned with your destiny. Some relationships will not return because they were not part of the new structure He is building. Some doors will remain closed because they belong to an older version of you. Restoration doesn't mean going back, it means going forward into better. When Joseph was reunited with his brothers, it wasn't the same boy they had sold into slavery. It was a ruler anointed to save nations. His pain had been the passport to purpose. What the enemy had intended as humiliation became the path to elevation. So it is with you. Every no that broke your heart was heaven's redirection toward something uncorrupted. Every delay that frustrated you was divine timing, ensuring that when the reversal came, you would be mature enough to sustain it. You had to lose some things to prove that your faith wasn't conditional. That proof has power. Heaven honors it. Now, pay attention to the subtle signs of restoration already unfolding. Peace where chaos used to reign. New opportunities rising from unexpected corners. People reaching out who once ignored your presence. Even your own thoughts feel lighter. Your prayers more confident. Your spirit less restless. These are whispers of renewal. And yet, the deepest reversal happens within. The restoration of joy after sorrow, of clarity after confusion, of hope after hopelessness. When God reverses misfortune, He starts by healing the heart that endured it. You are not just being blessed, you are being made whole. There's a divine symmetry in how He works. The same hands that allowed breaking are the ones now weaving beauty from the shards. Every shattered dream becomes material for testimony. The scars that once embarrassed you will soon speak for you. They will become your credentials to minister healing to others. Chosen one. Understand this. Restoration doesn't mean revenge. It's not about proving those who doubted you wrong. It's about proving God right. It's about revealing that every twist in your story was necessary for the masterpiece to take shape. When you start walking in this new rhythm of blessing, remember the humility pain taught you. Don't let vindication become vanity. The reversal isn't just for your comfort, it's for your calling. You are being elevated not for applause, but for assignment. Soon, the very places where you once cried will become altars of gratitude. The very people who pitied you will seek your counsel. The same environment that once rejected you will need the wisdom you now carry. That's how divine reversal works. It turns graves into gardens, loss into legacy. And as this season unfolds, don't rush it. Restoration happens in layers. Trust the pace of grace. Each day will reveal a little more of what was hidden. Some breakthroughs will come like thunder. Others will bloom like dawn quietly, beautifully, inevitably. You are entering a harvest season that you didn't even know was being planted. The tears of your past watered seeds you never saw. And now, they are sprouting proof that God was faithful even in silence. So, walk with your head lifted, not in pride, but in peace. What was lost has been located. What was broken has been blessed. The God of reversals has written the final word over your story, and that word is restored. Chosen one. When the night seasons end and the dawn breaks, something begins to shimmer in the unseen, a weight that is not heavy yet carries infinite meaning. You feel it before you see it. Doors begin to open without knocking. Conversations shift in tone. People who once ignored you now sense something different. This is not coincidence. This is the weight of glory arriving. Glory does not come as a flash of fame. It comes as a mantle of responsibility. It rests upon those who have endured refining without resentment, who have remained faithful in anonymity, and who have obeyed without audience. You, beloved, have been one of them. The prophet Elijah spoke as recorded in the first book of Kings, chapter 18, verse 38. Then the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt sacrifice, and the wood, and the stones, and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench. Oh, that fire was not random, it was response. Elijah's altar had been prepared through obedience and sacrifice. The glory fell not because of performance, but because of alignment. The same principle now applies to you. Every act of surrender you made was a stone laid upon your altar. Every tear, every delay, every surrender built the platform for God's fire to rest upon. And now, the fire comes not to destroy, but to declare. Glory is heaven's affirmation that obedience was worth it. It is the tangible evidence of unseen faithfulness. It begins quietly, as peace that follows you into rooms, as wisdom that flows when you speak, as discernment that sharpens your steps. You may have noticed that your presence feels different. Environments shift when you arrive, not because of your effort, but because heaven has marked you as a carrier of divine weight. You've been entrusted with a presence that silences confusion, with an authority that restores order. This is what the weight of glory does. It redefines reality through those who carry it. But this glory is not for your comfort, it is for commission. It doesn't exist to elevate your name, but to magnify His. The greater the glory, the deeper the humility required to hold it. You must remember, glory that rests on pride burns, but glory that rests on purity builds. Chosen one, you have come too far to let ego enter now. The same fire that anoints can also consume if handled carelessly. So, remain low. Let gratitude be your armor. Let worship be your response to every new blessing. The weight of glory also attracts warfare, for light always draws attention. Do not be surprised if opposition increases as favor multiplies. Resistance is proof of responsibility. The enemy cannot target what carries no threat, and your life has become a threat to darkness itself. But you need not fear. The same God who sent the fire also guards the flame. The presence resting upon you is not fragile, it is fortified. It will not flicker under pressure, it will grow brighter through it. This glory will begin to manifest in unusual ways. Words you speak will carry healing. Ideas you release will birth transformation. What once drained, you will now flow effortlessly. Because the grace has multiplied, people will be drawn, not to your charisma, but to the peace that follows your obedience. And yet, glory is never just about personal manifestation, it's about multiplication. The weight you carry will awaken others to carry theirs. You will become a mirror through which they see what's possible when surrender becomes lifestyle. The light in you will call forth light in them. Be ready for expansion. The weight of glory does not rest in static places, it moves. You'll be led into environments that need what you carry, marketplaces, families, communities that have been spiritually dry. Don't shrink back when God sends you to unfamiliar territory. The fire in you was never meant for containment. It was meant for commissioning. Remember, the fire fell only after Elijah repaired the altar. So continue to keep your altar, your heart whole. Guard it from bitterness, from distraction, from pride. The altar you maintain determines the glory you sustain. Chosen one. This moment marks the visible vindication of invisible faithfulness. You are no longer striving for proof. You are the proof. Every step you take from here on carries evidence of God's reality. Every breath becomes testimony. The glory that once hovered now rests. You will sense it in your speech, your silence, your service. It is not loud, it is luminous. It is the kind of glory that turns ordinary moments into divine appointments. So walk gently, but walk boldly. You have been entrusted with heaven's fire. Let it burn purely. Let it guide. Let it warm. For the weight of glory does not crush the chosen, it crowns them. Chosen one. You've walked through fire, and you've come out gold. You've endured lack, silence, and delay. And now, you are stepping into a season that feels different. The air around you carries a new weight. The way people look at you, the way doors respond, it all seems to shift. You are entering the phase of crowning in the kingdom economy, where wealth becomes worship and abundance turns into assignment. This isn't about prosperity for appearance, it's about purpose fulfilled. You are being crowned, not with jewels, but with trust. God is saying, you have proven faithful with little. Now, I can trust you with much. End of. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 25, verse 23, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Chosen one. Think of yourself like a river. The source flows from the mountain, the presence of God, and as it passes through you, it nourishes everything it touches. But a river that tries to hoard water becomes a swamp. So, too, a heart that hoards blessings begins to stagnate. The crown you wear in this season is not ornamental, it's functional. It's a reminder that your abundance was never meant to stop with you, it was meant to flow through you. You will begin to feel this shift in subtle ways. Where you once worried about how you would make ends meet, you now ask how you can make impact. Where you once prayed for enough, you now pray for overflow that serves others. This is maturity, the transformation from survival to stewardship. In this season, every resource in your hand will carry assignment. Your finances, your words, your time, your creativity, they all have direction. Heaven is no longer sending provision randomly, it's sending it strategically. Each deposit comes with purpose attached. And here is where your humility becomes your strength. You understand now that generosity is not about loss, it's about alignment. When you release what God gives, you create space for Him to send more. Giving is not subtraction in the kingdom, it's multiplication through trust. That is why, even as you walk in new abundance, you remain anchored. You know where it all comes from. You understand that the same hand that opens doors can close them if pride enters. Your wealth will not define you. It will distinguish you as a vessel who can handle heaven's flow responsibly. Chosen one. The world will begin to notice your light. They'll ask, "What's your secret?" How did you prosper without losing peace? And you will answer, I stopped chasing, and I started obeying. Your story will become an invitation for others to step out of striving and into surrender. Now, pause and look around you. The message you're hearing, the journey you've been walking, none of this is coincidence. It's a divine network of light weaving through the world, connecting those chosen to carry kingdom influence. When you like, when you share, when you subscribe, you're not helping an algorithm, you're helping the mission spread. Every click becomes a ripple that reaches hearts you may never meet. And if your spirit feels moved to sow a seed to donate, see it as watering the very field that fed you. Imagine this space like fertile soil. Your gift, no matter the size, becomes a seed that ensures this message continues to reach souls still wandering in darkness, wondering if they too are chosen. You're not just giving, you're investing in awakening. This isn't about obligation, it's about opportunity. You've been fed, strengthened, and reminded of who you are. Now, through your support, you become part of someone else's miracle. Together, we build an unseen cathedral, one made not of stone, but of souls rekindled by truth. When you engage, when you like, share, comment, subscribe, you're lighting a torch. And if you feel led, let your generosity be the oil that keeps that flame burning. Because this isn't a one-way message, it's a movement. So, take a moment, beloved, and let this truth sink in. Your crown is not for display, it's for distribution. You were crowned to contribute. Every act of generosity, every word of encouragement, every moment you choose to share this message becomes a reflection of your royalty in action. And if this word resonates in your spirit, drop a comment below your reflection, your revelation, or even a simple, I receive it. That single act adds another voice to the symphony of chosen ones, declaring that we are not servants of money, we are stewards of meaning. This is your moment of coronation. You wear the unseen crown of trust. Walk with grace, give with joy, and build with love. For in this kingdom economy, every gift is sacred, every act of faith eternal. Chosen one, before every great unveiling, there comes one final flame, the last purification. It is the refining fire sent not to harm, but to hone, not to destroy, but to distill. This is where God ensures that the vessel carrying His glory will never confuse the gift with the giver again. It is the last cleansing before the fullness of destiny manifests. You may have felt it already, the strange tension in the spirit. It's as if things you thought you were done with are resurfacing, old fears, old doubts, even old temptations. Do not mistake this for regression. It is revelation. The fire is revealing what can't cross over into your next dimension. The purer the gold, the hotter the fire required to form it. The Word of God declares in the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 3, He will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. He will purify the Levites and refine them like gold and silver. That is the image of what heaven is doing in you. The refiner does not leave the furnace. He sits close, watching the metal as it melts, ensuring that the heat does not destroy, only define. He knows the exact moment to lower the flame when the reflection of His face appears in the metal. That is how He knows the work is done. Chosen one. That is the process you are in. The fire is not punishment, it is presence. If it burns, it's because He's near. If it's hot, it's because His hand is upon you. The pain is not random, it's precise. You are being purified to carry permanence. In this final refining, certain attachments will fall away completely. Things you once tolerated will become unbearable. Conversations that used to excite you will now drain you. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. The new oil cannot mix with old vessels. Heaven is separating you not from people, but from patterns. You will notice silence from God in certain areas where He used to speak loudly. That silence is trust. It means you've matured past the need for constant confirmation. When a student grows, the teacher stops repeating instructions. The refiner knows you've learned the language of His presence. Every chosen one who carries great weight must endure this last cleansing. Moses faced it in the wilderness. David faced it in exile. Even Jesus faced it in Gethsemane. Each stood in the fire of surrender until nothing but obedience remained. You are now in your own Gethsemane moment, the place where will and calling collide. This fire tests motives. Why do you serve? Why do you give? Why do you obey? The refiner removes the residue of ambition so that your yes remains pure. It is possible to be anointed yet unready. This fire ensures readiness. It burns away the need to prove and leaves only the desire to please. There is beauty in this kind of breaking. It doesn't come with loud tears, but with quiet resolve. It's the strength that whispers, even if it costs everything, He'll still follow. That is the kind of heart heaven can trust with influence. During this stage, you might feel like things are tightening, as though every move requires greater precision. That's because you're being fitted for destiny. Loose ends cannot go where you're going. The vessel must match the volume of glory about to be poured in. The last purification also involves releasing control, releasing offense, releasing fear of failure. You can't carry bitterness into blessing. The weight of resentment would crack the crown meant to rest on your head. Forgiveness becomes your freedom, and humility your armor. Soon, the heat will ease, the smoke will clear, and when you look into the mirror of your spirit, you will see His reflection staring back. You will realize that the fire did not take anything from you. It took everything unlike Him from you. And when that happens, peace will settle in a way it never has before. Not because the world has changed, but because you have. The things that once provoked panic will now meet calm. The battles that once intimidated you will now bow before your presence. Purity brings authority. You will walk lighter, speak slower, love deeper. Your eyes will carry compassion where once there was frustration. Your heart will understand that every season of pain was heaven's workshop, crafting your spirit into strength. This is the final lap before fulfillment. The refiner has one goal: to make sure that when the blessing comes, it won't blind you. You will handle abundance with grace, power with gentleness, and influence with integrity. Chosen one, do not fear the fire, welcome it. For it is not consuming you, it is crowning you. This is the flame that finalizes the chosen, the furnace that forges eternal vessels. And when it's over, when the glow settles, you'll know that you've become everything the process promised. Chosen one. The journey now comes full circle. Every test, every tear, every whispered prayer in the midnight hours has led to this, the moment when the true heirs return. the ones refined by fire, purified by loss, matured by obedience, and crowned by calling. You stand among them. The season of wandering has ended. The exile of your soul is over. You are walking into inheritance, not the kind made of gold or property, but the inheritance of purpose fulfilled. You are no longer the same person who began this path. The shadows that once frightened you have become familiar terrain. The storms that once tossed you have become your proving ground. You have learned to walk through valleys with steady faith, to climb mountains without pride, and to trust when the map disappears. The Word of God declares in the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 21, "To him who overcomes, I will grant to sit with me on my throne, as I also overcame and sat down with my Father on his throne." That promise belongs to you now. You have overcome not perfectly, but persistently. The Father calls you heir because you stayed when others ran. You endured the refining without resentment, and you kept believing when belief felt like burden. This inheritance is not merely a reward, it is a responsibility. The return of the true heirs marks the restoration of divine order. You are not being raised just to reign. You are being sent to serve. The crown you wear is made of humility. The throne you sit on is built from trust. Every lesson you learned in hiddenness was preparation for leadership. The silence trained your discernment. The lack trained your stewardship. The pain trained your compassion. The waiting trained your wisdom. All these qualities are the insignia of the true heirs, those who lead not by dominance, but by divine example. And yet, this return is not loud. It doesn't arrive with trumpets or crowds. It happens quietly. As heaven repositions its people in the earth, you will see them humble, radiant, steady souls walking in peace amidst chaos, carrying calm that can't be shaken. They won't boast, but everything around them will flourish. These are the heirs, placed by heaven to rebuild what greed has ruined, to restore balance where corruption reigned, to remind creation who the true stewards are. Chosen one, you are part of this divine reordering. You are the evidence that God never abandoned his blueprint for humanity. While the world chases crowns of influence, you carry crowns of integrity. While others hoard wealth, you distribute wisdom. The kingdom is returning to its rightful heirs, not through conquest, but through character. This is why your path had to be so narrow. Only those who have known lack can steward abundance with compassion. Only those who have walked through silence can speak with authority that carries weight. Only those who have wrestled in prayer can now walk in peace that disarms storms. The true heirs are not identified by appearance. They are recognized by atmosphere. Everywhere you go now will feel different. You will sense divine orchestration in ordinary places. Conversations will become conduits for revelation. Work will feel like worship. You will not need to announce that you are chosen. The fruit will speak for you. People will feel the residue of heaven when you enter a room. That is the quiet power of one who has been seated in sonship. But remember this, inheritance is maintained through intimacy. The same prayer that birthed your journey must now sustain it. Stay close to the one who crowned you, lest the noise of success drown the whisper of guidance. True heirs never outgrow dependence, they deepen it. In the days ahead, you may feel a strange mixture of peace and urgency. Peace, because you know who you are. Urgency, because the world needs what you carry. There are lives attached to your obedience. destinies waiting for your yes. You are no longer a seeker, you are a sender, carrying heaven's fragrance into the earth. The authority resting on you will not need permission to move. It is heaven's response to your persistence. You will begin to see restoration ripple outward, families mending, communities awakening, hearts returning to hope. The legacy of your obedience will outlive your lifetime. Chosen one. This is what it was always about. Not fame, not fortune, but family. The divine family of those who walk with God in unbroken fellowship. You are part of that lineage now. You carry His image, His breath, His mission. You are proof that destiny delayed is not destiny denied. So walk now, not as the wounded, but as the restored. The world will see scars and call them imperfections. Heaven will see them and call them signatures. Every mark, every line, every trace of the journey is proof of your authenticity. You have not only survived the process, you have become the process for others to follow. Chosen one. If these words have found you, it is not by chance, it is by divine choreography. Every line you've read was heaven's way of reminding you who you've always been. Chosen, refined, crowned, and sent. You carry light now, real, unshakable light, and the world needs it. Before you leave this space, take a moment to breathe, reflect, and let gratitude rise. If this journey spoke to your soul, let your response become part of its echo. When you like, it's not for numbers, it's your silent amen. When you share, it's an act of warfare against darkness, allowing truth to travel where pain once ruled. When you subscribe, you're not joining a channel, you're joining a movement of light bearers, keeping this stream of revelation alive. And in the comments below, leave your reflection, whatever phrase or realization heaven birthed in you today. Your words might be the confirmation someone else has been praying for. Together, we keep the flame burning. Together, we remind the world, this was never about money, it was always about the calling.